Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Sister Kate Shofar Mountain believers and YouTubers and subscribers and the whole world. Anyway, today's video is about a very important issue that Brother Travis at Set Apart Homestead did a video about, and I'm sure many others have. It's about ticks and chiggers, because this is one of the biggest fears people who think about coming out and homesteading have. They are not, well, ticks are probably in every state, but chiggers aren't. There's like a sort of the Mason-Dixon line of our country. You go north, they don't have chiggers. Come south, they do. But when you go north, you got mosquitoes and black flies and other pests. So Brother Travis, he did some very, very good tips, and I'm going to give you my 10 other tips for dealing with ticks and chiggers. So I wanted to explain to you that chiggers are a little mite, and mites are the kind of things that like live on things, live on creatures, and they like have all kind of mites, but they live off your shed skin that you flake off. There's mites that live on that, and they're just little pests. It's very hard to see them, but sometimes if you're paying a lot of attention and the way you dress makes it easier, like if you have white socks on, there you'll see them, and usually it's not just one, it's like a cluster, and then they immediately start to spread out. So that's one of the clues to being able to deal with them, is if you see that happen, you immediately shed the clothes. Anyway, ticks are a flat brown bug. I think they're 6 or 8-legged. Some of them have a white dot in the middle. You can go to Google. I can post pictures here. And they don't immediately embed themselves, and neither do the chiggers. They're on your skin for a little while. They may crawl around, and that's another way to deal with a tick, is you have hairs on your body. When the bugs crawl across them, if you're paying attention, you'll feel it, and you can grab that thing, get that tick off of you. So those are my first two points, are the descriptions of these bugs. The third point is one that Travis went over very well. They like long grass. They're hanging on to the ends of leaves, and so if you keep your lawn mowed, these creatures are going to be a lot harder to pick up. And once you've done it, like if you have a lawn and you mow it regularly and you get rid of the ticks and chiggers that are there, then you probably won't have them come back, at least not for several years. So keep the lawn mowed and stay out of the backwoods. These guys are opportunists, and if you're the first living thing with blood in your system that wanders by, they're going to be attracted to you. I have gone into areas like the backwoods and put a chair or a blanket and sat on it, and within 5 minutes I can see the ticks. I don't know if they have infrared in them or what, but they know you're there and they start heading for you, and it's a thing. So stay out of the backwoods and stay out of long grass. Okay, number 4. Here's the thing that I've learned over time. Now, we have dogs. You may have cats. You may have both, whatever. If you treat your dogs, and most people do, with that oil that you put on them to kill the animals on them, you're actually starting to clear out the area around your house where your dogs and cats run and pick up these bugs who bite them and then die. So it's a good thing to treat your creatures. What are you doing? I'm trying to shoot a video here. It's a good thing to treat them, because it in turn starts to get rid of the population around where you live and where your dogs roam. All right, number 5 is having those barnyard animals like the ducks and the guineas and the geese and the chickens, the banties, and all the little birds that you keep on a homestead. They eat ticks and chiggers. Now, I've heard the guineas especially eat the chiggers because they're really, really small. But again, the area around your homestead, as your animals, if you let them out, because some people don't free range them, but a lot of people do, they will start taking care of some of the pests for you. All right, number 5 is, if you're going to be walking somewhere on your property regularly, keep that cleared. make a trail, and think about graveling the trail, because things like gravel is not where ticks like to hang out, right? If you leave it grass and you don't mow it, they're definitely going to be there. But if you actually make your trail like a trail and clear it, you're going to be helping yourself. All right, so number 6. Travis gave very good suggestions about taking care of these pests. And one thing I did notice that he didn't mention, and something that I got a lot of training in as a Girl Scout leader, was how you dress when you go out in the woods. And you have long socks, and you tuck your pants into your socks, and you tuck your shirt into your pants, so that if a tick gets on your shoe and starts trying to get at you, it's going to climb on the outside of all that clothing. It's going to take it a while to actually get to where you were, and hopefully you're being alert and checking yourself regularly, and you can see them and get them off. And another part of that suggestion is, if you want to use a chemical, and I've used everything, I have found that nothing is really that effective on any of these things. Pastor Joe says the DEET spray, the Deep Woods Off spray, is the best thing, and if he uses it correctly, he doesn't pick up pests. But this is me. If I spray my shoes, because I don't want to have a lot of the DEET and the permethrin and everything around. I like my frogs and my lizards and bats and things, because they naturally eat bugs. So I don't put that stuff all over me. If I spray my shoes or my socks, then the bugs have to crawl over them first and then come through the socks and the pants, etc., etc. So it's kind of a system, and you just get used to it. It's just one of those things. It's like if you go out in the cold, you wear gloves and a hat and a scarf and a coat. Like, it just makes sense that you dress for this situation. All right, that was number 5, 6. I'm not good at these numbering things. I think I may end up having 12 things to tell you. The next one is the peppermint oil, because Brother Travis did talk about essential oils and how they're supposed to be a deterrent to these bugs. Well, we had a friend who did an experiment with peppermint oil, and he put it in a bucket, and he put a tick in there, and the tick didn't seem to pay attention to it at all. So, like he said, not all essential oils will be effective, and the stronger and stinkier they are, the better they're going to be working. So I don't recommend essential oils as a be-all and end-all for keeping these things away. Like he said, I don't think there is a 100% way to do it. You just have to be a little more diligent about it. So having said that, his idea of the sock with the diatomaceous earth and the sulfur powder is one of the best ideas I've heard, because Pastor Joe said when he entered the Army, they used to give a bottle of stuff to the soldiers called Chiggers, and it was sulfur in oil, some kind of oil, and you spread it on your body, and that was the best, he said, excluding the DEET and the Deep Woods Off. That was the best deterrent for chiggers. Now, sulfur is an interesting mineral. I think it's a mineral. It's definitely a chemical, right? It smells terrible. It smells like rotten eggs. But sulfur, for the longest time, was used before people figured out antibiotics to kill bacteria. And sulfur also is a soil improver. If you put it in your garden, it improves your garden. Well, sulfur powder is a chigger deterrent. And so when we were talking about around your homestead and your trails, another way to keep chiggers away is to put that sulfur powder down on the land. You just sprinkle it on. It's a natural product, and so you're not poisoning your property like you would if you were using permethrin, which right on it, has big warnings. Don't get it near aquatic animals, and don't get it in your eyes, and wash yourself and everything. So sulfur is a natural solution to this issue, and if you're one of those people who's really going to freak out, you're going to have to buy a lot of it. But if you're like me and it doesn't bother you, to have these bugs as much, then I buy it, and I just occasionally put it where I think people are going to be, like when we have our congregational meetings and stuff. So the sulfur diatomaceous earth combo that he put in the sock and puts on his clothes, I think that's a great idea. All right, so I have 2 more tips. the number 9, or maybe this is 11, is a hot shower, because we researched this online, and I think it was Wikipedia, but I don't remember. An article said chiggers will be in your clothes for a while. So if you know you've gone through an area that is got chiggers, then what you do is when you walk in the front door, you immediately put your clothes in a hot wash. You know, put it in your washing machine on, and then on hot. Or like me, I would have to prepare hot water, and when I came in, dunk it, you know, put it in like a 5-gallon bucket and get it in there immediately. And then you go take a hot water shower or bath and, you know, do your whole self, because the chiggers are probably still in the clothes, but if they're on your skin, they may not have embedded yet, and that very hot water will kill them before they can embed. And I have used that technique, and it was very effective. So that is a really good tip. And then the last thing is, if you get bites from these bugs, and again, Travis made a point, and he's correct, in order for you to actually get one of the diseases that the ticks carry, chiggers I don't think carry any diseases, they have to be embedded in you for a day. So constantly checking yourself is a really good tip. But also, if you get bitten, I have found one of the most effective things to treat the bite is the baking soda and water paste. It does a really good job of taking away the itching, and it does a really good job of drying up the site, because what's causing the itching is you scratching, and your body is sending serum fluid and, you know, white blood cells and stuff to the site, which causes it to swell, and the swelling causes the itching, and you're scratching, and so it's kind of this cycle. So if you bite that in the rear end right off the get-go, and you do a baking soda water paste, and it, you know, it looks kind of like if you mix flour and water, but not made to a dough yet, and you just spread it on there, it does a really good job of taking care of the bites. Now, another thing I've noticed with people who get the bites and then are scratching, is you're introducing a lot of bacteria to that site. And so if you have a bite and it looks kind of raised and red, a lot of them do, there's nothing wrong with treating it with a little antibacterial also, like some Neosporin or some tea tree oil or some echinacea powder or whatever you use. But because your nails and your hands are dirty, when you scratch, you're often introducing that, and makes that bug bite worse if you keep scratching at it like you do. So baking soda and a little bit of antibacterial, and they usually heal up pretty quickly. All right, I hope these tips have helped you. 10 or 12, whatever number they were, I'm talking from experience. I've been in woods from one end of our country to another, and I have had tick and chigger bites the whole time. And so I'm giving you wisdom and experience, just like Travis, because he lives this life as well. And again, I have not found any certain product to be super effective. The ones that seem to be doing the best job are something involving sulfur, the powder, or an oil. And the DEET works. It's just, if I spray that on my skin, it makes me feel ill. So I'm not comfortable doing that. But I'll tell you the truth. Nowadays, I stay away from the chigger areas, and I constantly check for ticks, and I don't put on anything. I don't put on an essential oil. I don't put on anything, because I don't feel like I'm so distressed by these issues that I need to treat them. I just kind of take it as a matter-of-fact part of my everyday life, and so I am constantly checking, killing. I've always killed the ticks, and avoiding the areas, because there's a huge swaths of Shofar Mountain that have been civilized for years, so they're safe, and I go there. I avoid going into the backwoods during the hot months. All right, I hope this has helped you guys. Don't be afraid. Have a spirit of courage. Bless you. Shalom.